Hey guys, this is Jacolia of Jacolia Jams. Thank you for once again coming back home, family. For those of you that happen to be new here, I definitely hope that you hear something today that will persuade you to stay. If you have not already done so, exactly what are you waiting for? Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. So as you can hear, I am driving. And this has been impressed upon me for a while. And so yeah. I'm going to jump straight into today's video to talk about spirit husbands and spirit wives from this viewpoint. And I'm going to come out with several videos on how in-depth this is because it's a real thing. It's not spookism. It's not over-spiritualization. It's literally a real thing where you can be married to somebody in the spirit realm. We're going to tackle it this way first on how the church wields marriages that have not been sanctioned by the Most High. How the church has put together marriages of demonic influence. And let's just call a thing what it is. There have been many times when husbands and wives have been prophesied in church services, over the phone, just different things. And when prophecy goes forth, we need to be able to pull scripture, Hebraic meaning. If you're into the gematria, which is just the esoteric interpretation of what the Hebrew words mean, because all of the Hebrew words literally have meanings and they have number values. And when you have the numbers in Hebrew, it's based off of putting letters together to make up the numbers. Prophecies are confirmations. Prophecies are warnings. So when we are in church services and you have pastors and prophets and all of these people calling you up, prophesying to you that this is your husband, this is your wife, and they're pointing people out to you in the audience, or they're telling you that you're going to get married and this is how it's going to happen and all these other things. That does not always mean that this marriage is supposed to take place. I'll use myself as an example. I have seen and I have prophesied weddings to my friends. Like to let them know I had a dream that you got proposed to. I had a dream that you got married. And I'm going to use these two examples. So one of my sisters, one of my big sisters from church, I knew she was talking to someone, but didn't know if the relationship, was serious or nothing, because she is very much to herself. She wasn't a big dater or anything like that. So I had a dream that, and the guy, I never saw him before, but apparently I did in my dream. I had a dream of her wedding day. And I texted her and I was like, whoa, I just had this dream. Whop the bam. And she indeed got engaged to be married. And I was at the wedding. And the wedding looked exactly how the dream was. And their marriage is beautiful. There's another sister who, once again, is my G. I don't know her guy. And I told her, I said, I had a dream that you got engaged and you got married very, very swiftly. Within the next few weeks, both things happened. He ended up being hell on wheels. Hell on wheels. This is why the Bible tells us that we will prophesy in part. When somebody releases a word of prophecy to you, It's up to you to take that word and to watch over it. It's up to you to take that word and to either cast it down in the moment because you know that it's contrary immediately. And even if you cast it down in the moment because you know it's contrary immediately, you also have to ask yourself, is this contrary to my flesh? And I don't want to hear it, because that happens a lot when it comes to correction. And ask me how I know, because I give out a lot of correction. When people come to me for a word, they always know it is coming with correction. I was called the doom and gloom prophet. And mind you, I'm not calling myself a prophet, but in church, it was this one prophetess, quote unquote, who she would prophesy in part and in error. And her prophecies would always be, I see houses, I see cars, I see marriages, I see land, I see, all these other things, right? And it would be in the midst of one of the most sinful organizations I've ever been a part of, from the top down. The apostle was a predator. Ask me how I know. And so when I would get the microphone, I would be like, I've seen some of that stuff, and I would expound on what she says in more in depth. I would follow it up by judgment, gross judgment, like distinct judgment. I would call out sins, like y'all. But I would always end in hope, and in restoration, and in those things. But most people, if they receive a word in a moment, a lot of times, you have to check yourself. If you think it's contrary, check yourself and check your flesh, which is why it's important for words to be watched over. If you know that without a shadow of a doubt that the spirit that which is speaking over you, cast out in a moment, but also watch over that word to find out the source of the word and to do some working to demolish the source of where the contrary word came from. You're going to have to do some spiritual warfare, because that means that something is chasing you and is seeking to kill, to steal, and or to destroy. Those are the only things that the enemy comes to do. To steal, to kill, and destroy. Those are his realm of influence, his realm of power. When you receive a word of prophecy, you are supposed to take it and pray over it. You are supposed to run it through scripture. You are supposed to run it through your life. Is this word confirming? Is this something that the Most High has revealed to me in part? You are supposed to ask him questions concerning it before even receiving it. You're supposed to watch over your word. And if the word be true, you got to do something to sacrifice to the deity, to make sure that their word falls on good ground, to make sure that it is watered by the word, to make sure that it is guarded, and to make sure that it has a place to germinate, to take root, and to grow, to spring forth. So when we get to church and we get on these church services and people stand and they prophesy these marriages, and we so readily and eagerly accept them because we have been groomed in the spirit of desperation and manipulation in the church. We've been taught that if you're unmarried, specifically as a woman, that you're unworthy and no one wants you, and you must be a whore. You must be like the most treacherous woman, and that your only purpose is to be a wife. To the point that they don't even teach you what being a wife truly is. They just want to teach you how to chase a ring. It's gotten so bad that every woman believes that she's supposed to be a first lady. Yeah, that's interesting to me. So when you receive these words of prophecies, and you are not trying the spirit, and you allow these people to prophesy to you about who your husband is and who your wife is, and your marriage ends in divorce, or you refuse to get a divorce, even though Y'all swapping STDs and it's abusive and you got financial issues and y'all not even attracted to each other. Or you only got married because of, I'm going to leave that one alone. We're going to come back to the fact that the church will prophesy somebody to be your husband or wife because they know you're sleeping with them. We need to call the thing, and what it is, what it is. A lot of these marriages in the church that has been prophesied are not rooted by the Most High. I'll never forget that same apostle that I just referred to, who was a predator and who was hot under my skirt. He prophesied to my ex in the middle of service that I was his wife. Mind you, a man who I had let known that I would never get back with him. A man that I was engaged to be married to, whom, when I was going through emergency gallbladder surgery, that if I didn't have, I would have died. Diagnosis of cervical cancer. Like, I'm on my deathbed. And you choose to walk away because you allow your mother and your brother to put a battery in your back, knowing you was just upset in the moment because you were being wielded and guided by the influence of your mom. And then when we got off the phone, before we got off the phone, I told you this the decision you're going to make, because you're going to have to stand on it. Because I knew it wasn't him. Not because I'm just like so amazing and like I don't get left. I don't. I don't. And so when he tried to come back, I let him know that door was closed. You were supposed to be my husband. And I don't allow do-overs to happen. So we know why we broke up. My parents know why we broke up. The familiar spirit and the spirit of lust that was trying to divert the attention that this apostle was playing on me, allow him to speak a lie into the spirit of a man who knew that a marriage between me and him would never happen. I'm going to come back because I got some stuff to say. This is Jacolia of Jacolia Gems. Food for thought.